Good day to you. Hope you're having a great day today. I came across an interesting quote. Let me read it to you. It's from Carl Jung, who was, as most of you know, a Swiss psychologist. And he said, that which you resist not only persists, but will grow in size. And as I've worked with clients over the years, I have found that there is one basic element that, if not addressed, actually affects the entire aspect and outcome of what they're looking to do, not only in their business, but also in their lives. And so I want to share some thoughts with you today. I'm going to do it via some slides, and hope you enjoy the thoughts. What I have found is that when you're really looking at how am I going to achieve success in my business, in my life, how am I going to experience life, a life full of joy, rather than one of frustration and anger and those types of things, what I've discovered is that it all boils down to mindset. A couple of quotes that I want to share with you that I think are really excellent. One from Anthony Robbins: beliefs have the power to create and the power to destroy. Human beings have the awesome ability to take any experience of their lives and create a meaning that disempowers them or one that can literally save their lives. Another one from James Allen: the soul attracts that which it secretly harbors, that which it loves, and also that which it fears. It reaches the height of its cherished aspirations, it falls to the level of its unchastened desires, and circumstances are the means by which the soul receives its own. So what I've discovered is this is really, I think, the most powerful quote that I've seen. And I love how he puts it. I bargained with life for a penny, and life would pay no more. However, I begged at evening when I counted my scanty store. For life is just an employer. He gives you what you ask. But once you have set the wages, why, you must bear the task. I worked for a menial hire, only to learn, dismayed, that any wage I had asked of life, life would have willingly paid. I've identified 7 elements that I think can either be one that self-sabotages our experience in life, or one that actually creates an abundance in our lives. And those are as follows. I think on the existing scene, so when we look at where we are in our lives, we can look at where we are presently, which is our existing scene, and then we can go to what we would wish it would be, the vision that we have of where we would like to be, the ideal scene. Again, this is both in business and in life. And as we look at those 7 elements of self-sabotage, on the one side we have the limiting belief system, and that includes one of self-sabotage rather than control, or being a victim rather than self-directed, or experiencing scarcity rather than abundance in our lives, experiencing fear rather than having confidence, acting like an employee rather than like an executive, being irresponsible versus responsible, and being what I think is one of the dangerous things is the know best rather than being teachable. So I want to share with you just a quick little exercise that I think that you might find will be real enjoyable. If you have a minute, just take out a piece of paper and rate yourself between 0 and 10, 10 being the best, as we talk about each one of these real quickly. First one is self-sabotage versus control. How many times do you find that as you're seeking to accomplish something, all of a sudden it just doesn't go right? And so you try it again and it doesn't go right. And you might even be saying to yourself, or you've heard people say this, you know what? It just never works for me, or it just seems like life is against me. Well, I can tell you that that is a mindset of self-sabotage, and we actually have created that rather than just experiencing it because that's the way it is, versus where we actually take control of our lives. So that's number one. So rate yourself between 0 and 10. Where do you fit? How many times are you finding that maybe you're self-sabotaging what you're trying to accomplish? Next one is the victim versus the self-directed or proactive individual. So how many times are you at the mercy of what's happening? I couldn't help it. This is what happened to me. Life just seems to happen. And, I don't know what God's thinking, but man, he's not thinking of me. That type of thing. You know what it is to be a victim versus being self-directed, proactive, and just really taking charge of your life. And when circumstances occur which obviously could move us into the victim. Rather than allowing that to affect us in a negative way, we literally say, you know what, I'm going to handle this and I'm going to take care of this. So again, rate yourself between 0 and 10 on that one. Next one, scarcity versus abundance. How many times do we find that we just kind of squeeze ourselves? People say, oh, life is great. And we go, you know what? Not really. We look at life from a scarcity standpoint versus looking at life from an abundance. Now, what do we mean by that? It isn't that we just, abundance meaning we're going to be making a lot of money or whatever, but rather it's more that are we grateful? Are we finding that the things that come our way, we can actually sit down and express gratitude for whatever it is? Even things that are not really comfortable or have really been tough in our lives, can we look at that and do we say, you know what, life is just lousy? Or can we actually recognize that maybe there's something we learned from that and be grateful for some of the lessons that we've experienced? So again, rate yourself between 0 and 10. Okay, the next one, fear versus confidence. I think fear is probably one of the greatest challenges that we all face. Look at what's happening in the world today, and let's look at what's happening here in the United States. So many things going on, and so many people angry, and so many people just really frustrated. And I can tell you that is coming out of a sense of fear. A fear of life, a fear of the future, versus having the confidence to know that you can just, move forward. How many times are you wanting to do something and you don't do it just because of the fear that you have about, what will it look like or what will the results be? Believe me, I experienced this myself. Versus just moving forward with confidence and knowing that, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And even if it doesn't work out the way you want, you can look at it from the standpoint of, wow, okay, so I've learned some lessons and next time I can do it even better. That's the difference between fear and confidence. So again, rate yourself with that one. Now, the next one is more from a business perspective, and that has to do with, do you act like an employee or do you act like an executive? Do you wait to be told what to do all of the time? Or do you move forward? I find a lot of times there's this whole culture of I'm waiting for someone to tell me what to do versus taking the initiative and moving forward and doing things that you know you need to do. Again, rate yourself between 0 and 10. Okay, the next one. Irresponsibility versus responsibility. Yeah, I love these two pictures. I've been through these exercises before, and you're always worried if you're the one up there on that box falling backwards, whether those folks are going to catch you or not. But the reality is how responsible are we? When we give our word that we're going to do something, do we actually do it? Even when we tell ourselves, I'm going to do this, how responsible are we at actually getting it done? Or doing things for people that we say we're going to do versus really not getting it done. Anyway, rate yourself between 0 and 10. Okay, this is the last one, and I think this can be one of the worst ones. And this concept of know it best. I know it all. There's nothing you can teach me, and these people. It's like you try to teach them something, and for those of you that are teachers or business people, and trying to tell someone how to do something or suggest a way in which they can be done, and you always have the people that just sit back and go, well, okay, I appreciate your thoughts, but no, I'm going to do it my way. I know how to do it. Versus those people that are always there to be taught, to listen. And they may not always agree, but they're willing to listen and consider. And sometimes they'll go and move forward the way that they felt was the best way, but sometimes they may actually listen and change their approach a bit. And I think that becomes really important. Okay, so if you've gone through the exercise, go ahead and score yourself. Add up the points and take a few minutes to do that. And as you do that, basically, if you get a 70, which is a perfect score, I'd say, who you're trying to kid. So the reality is none of us, I don't think, can ever get that. Next one, if you've got a 60, hey, you're doing well. If you have a 50, well, you may need some attention. If you got a 40, you know what? You really need some help. If you got a 30, oh my goodness. And if you've got a 20, you know what? Let's talk. So anyway, hope this has been a fun exercise for you, and look forward to being able to share some more thoughts with you in the next video that I do. I hope you enjoyed the slides and the thoughts that came through that, and I'd love for you to do some posts here and let me know what score you got. And if you got any ahas or any cognitions about going through that exercise, would love to hear from you and get your thoughts on that. Appreciate it very much.